Alright, today we're back and we're going to be cleaning this coil. You can see the rust on it. The only thing I use on these is, you can use a wire wheel if you want. I choose the flapper disc on my Dremel. So we'll get that all cleaned up. Alright, we got that all cleaned up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just get the rust off of it. You're going to have some discoloration here, but it'll be good enough to make contact. Also, I took the Dremel and cleaned up the parts of contact with the bolts and everything. So that should be good enough. It had spark before, and it will definitely have spark now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to clean up the magnets on the flywheel. So now we're down to the flywheel, and we're going to use the same thing for that. Alright, we got the magnets all cleaned up. Like I said, doesn't have to be perfect, but just get the rust off of there. Then after I'm done, I take a paper towel and just wipe it off. Alright, and it still has good pull on the magnets. So now we're going to clean the carb and then start putting it together. Alright, now we're going to be putting the coil back on. What I like to do is line up the magnets and then take a card. Pick a card, any card. We got a jack today. So I'll put it in between here, in between the coil and the magnets. And the magnets will hold the coil into place. A playing card is about 10/1000ths of an inch thick, which is the proper gapping that will work. And then we'll go ahead and install this. You want to keep a little pressure on it. And then we'll put this one in. And then just snug it up a little bit. You don't want to go nuts on these, because a lot of the times the casting is aluminum. And then we'll get the playing card out of there. And then what you want to do is you want to rotate it to make sure that it's not scraping on the flywheel anywhere. And it's not touching anywhere. So we should be good there. Alright, now we're going to do the carburetor. It's pretty dirty, so we'll get it all cleaned up and everything, and I'll show you how to do that. This bolt on the bottom is a 10mm on this particular model, so we'll pop that off first. A lot of the times there's going to be gas in your bowl. I don't know if this one has gas in it or not, so we'll crack it open and find out. And they're usually not on real tight. The body of this is also aluminum. And from the looks of it, that is dry. So we'll get this bowl off and see what we're working with. It's dirty. It's definitely dirty. A little bit of rust buildup. I don't know. This year, for some odd reason, a lot of the carbs that I did this year are very rusty on the inside. Last year it was mostly either ethanol or fuel stabilizer. Fuel stabilizer does help with your fuel, but if you have fuel in your carb and it has the stabilizer in it, a lot of the times it gums it up real bad. So we'll just pull this pin out. and then pull this assembly out. Right there's your float valve. If you've ever done these before, you know what that is. And we're not going to bother try to pry that out because I don't want to have it breaking. You have your main jet right there. What we're going to do is, I'll probably pop this off too. It's your fuel shutoff valve. And then when you take this out, underneath that will be your air-fuel ratio jet. So we'll get this all tore down, and then actually it's pretty much all tore down. I just got to pop this out. There is a washer in here, one of those wave washers, and I don't think this model has a spring in it. It's usually just one of those washers. And then there's a rubber gasket underneath of it. So we're gonna take these off, take this off, pull the jet out. Let's see here. I usually don't pull these unless I have to. They're a very soft brass, and once your screwdriver slips once, it's just about, it's gonna really mess it up for you. So we're gonna remove this jet first. And then usually a small screwdriver will pop that out. And that's all it is. It's got a brass fitting in it. You're never gonna see that in there. So we'll take the fuel shutoff valve apart. And that's all there is. Right there's the rubber gasket, and it's definitely got some crap in it. So we're gonna have to clean all this out. And at the very top of this is your wave washer. So just don't lose this. And it doesn't matter if it's in this way or this way, just as long as it's in there, because it keeps tension on it. So we'll get this all cleaned up. Alright, so this part for the cleaning of the carb, I like to use Croil. And I also like to use, it's called LA's Totally Awesome. I got this from the dollar store, and it's probably one of the best degreasers I've ever used. Like, no shit, it's good stuff. And you'll see once the carb's actually done how clean it will be compared to what it is now. Now, I normally do this outside, and I'm not going to do the whole thing on here, but what you want to do is you want to spray every orifice out and make sure it comes out somewhere else. So we're going to spray it in here. And if you can see that, it's coming out there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this outside. And it's pretty much every orifice you're going to want to do down in here where you took that jet out. You are going to want to do in these holes. You're going to want to do it in there, in here, in there, and your main jet. A lot of the times the main jet gets clogged. So just make sure that when you spray that fluid in there, it comes out in here. You'll see the end of the jet in there. So we'll get this all sprayed up. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll set this for about, it goes in seconds, it's 480, we'll just say 5 minutes, I guess. Actually, no, it's not even close to that, but oh well. So we're got our carb all sprayed down, so we'll just set it in there. We'll set the jet in there, and we won't do this yet. We'll do this with the float bowl. And then you'll just hit start, and it'll start cleaning. I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. You basically sit it in there. I'll set it in there for half the time and then flip it and let it do the other side. Sometimes I'll flip it upside down. So, I mean, however you feel like doing it. So we'll be back when this is done. All right, we got the carb all cleaned up. So, cleaned up pretty nice. I think. We ended up replacing this gasket in the bottom. It was so flattened out that there was no way I wasn't even going to put it together with the old gasket in it. So we replaced that. The outside of the fuel bowl cleaned up pretty good. It's still a little... That should be fine. It's not completely cleaned up. Like I said, you're going to get some oxidation and rust and shit in there, so... We'll wipe this down with a paper towel real quick before we put it in. But installation is the opposite of the way I took it apart. So if there's we're just gonna speed it past this. If there is any questions on how to get one of these back together, let me know in the comments below, and we'll be back and it'll be together. All right, we got it all cleaned up, put back together. Everything's functioning properly. And I didn't mention this before. I ended up taking this out and cleaning below it. It's your air-fuel ratio screw. I think this one is your air-fuel ratio screw, but take that out, clean it. Count your turns when you take it out. So this is pretty much ready to put back in, so we'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put the carb back on. Hi. So you just want to tilt it off to the side and then get the arm put into place. Sometimes it takes a second to get it in there. You're going to want to do the same thing to the next one. And then you want to put your spring in. You can either do it with your finger or needle nose. So we'll try it with the fingers first. We'll do it with the needle nose. I think that'll be easier. Alright, we got the springs and everything put on, so we're going to go ahead and install this. Should slide on relatively easy. And then we're going to put the air box on. We'll see how far that this goes in. I might have to replace this. No, it seems to go in there pretty good. So then we'll go ahead and screw the screws back into place. And that's pretty much it for the carburetor. So we'll go ahead and make sure our spark plug's tightened up, and then we'll start buttoning it together and then start it up, see if it runs. So we cleaned the carb, we cleaned the air filter, put new gas in it, cleaned up the coil, all that stuff. Right here I ended up putting an on and off switch on it, and it's working just fine. We got all the wires tucked in behind there, so nothing's gonna touch the flywheel, nothing's gonna get burned. So I figured I will start it up for you guys, and this will be the final video on this. And you guys can see how quiet this thing is. Now when it's on high, it's loud like a normal mower, and then when you bring it down low, it's really quiet. So we'll get it started up so you can hear it. And that's all the louder it is when it's on low. So that's not too bad. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So this will be pretty much ready to sell. The lawn boy's done as well. This one, I think I told you guys about it. There was just the choke lever didn't move the whole way, so there's really nothing wrong with this one. So that's about it. Any questions or comments, let me know down below. And thanks for watching.